Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I would like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is on really the first steps of BNI Connect, especially if you're new to BNI Connect or new to BNI, or you just might not have logged into BNI Connect in a while. What we're going to be going over is how to fill out your profile, so how to dig deep in BNI Connect and make sure that you get all the fields filled out correctly, and where all of these different things show up, both on the public websites and within BNI Connect. Before we get started on today's content, just a couple of housekeeping things. This is a live webinar, so that means that if you have any questions whatsoever as we're going through the content today, please do feel free to ask those questions. The best way to do that is by typing your question into the question panel. I'll see that pop up on my screen, and I can answer that question either right away, or if it's unrelated, we'll have plenty of times towards the end. Today's webinar is also being recorded. There's a couple of different places that you'll be able to find this recording after the session. The first place is you'll be able to find it on our support site. If you click on this question mark, the question mark in the upper right-hand corner of BNI Connect, that will take you over to the support site. You'll see all of our upcoming webinars, and then if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see chapter training and documentation. And here we have our recorded webinars. For example, all of our webinars for October, November, and December are posted up there, and you could go through any of them and re-watch them. Or you can share them with other members in your chapter. All of these videos are hosted on YouTube, so if you go to youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, that is where you will find our entire collection of videos, from 3 to 5 minute educational moments all the way through all the recorded webinars and other things as well. So please do join us on our YouTube channel as well. So let's get started on today's, and that is how to properly fill out your profile here in BNI Connect. So the first thing that we need to understand is that your profile appears in multiple places in BNI Connect. So it will appear on public websites, so to anybody in the world, whether or not they're a BNI member. It'll also appear on an internal profile just to other members that are logged into BNI Connect. Let me give you an example. So on the public side of BNI Connect, we have a couple of different places. For example, I am a member here in the United States, and there is a national website called BNIAmerica.com. And anybody can go on to BNIAmerica.com and do a search and find a member, for example. And they could search for, let's say, massage therapist in Texas. And they could come up with a list of all the massage therapists in Texas and possibly contact one of them. So if they click on their name, here's their profile. They have their profile partially filled out. And if they wanted to contact them, they could. Now, within BNI, there's also a number of different regions, and each region has their own website. For example, my region is BNI RI for BNIRhodeIsland.com. And what this does is it only will show the members from my particular region here in Rhode Island. So if I went to find a member here, I can search by name, or again, I can search by category. Let's say I was looking for myself specifically, Jeremy Walsh. I could click on the profile and go to any social media links, read a little bit more information, get in touch with me. Now, there's a lot of people that when you don't have your profile filled out, it makes it really hard to find somebody. So I'm just going to go up to my Antarctica site up here. I'm going to look up a chapter, and let's say I'm going to look at my BNI Burr chapter. Now, I'm just going to randomly grab somebody here, let's say Ricky Martin. So now Ricky Martin hasn't filled out his profile yet. So you'll notice that compared to my profile, there's a lot less information there. It's not really building much credibility for Ricky Martin here. So how do we get this information into BNI Connect? Well, first we need to log into BNI Connect. So you want to click on the BNI Connect button from either your regional website or just go to bniconnect.com and log into the system. Once you're here, you'll see your home screen, and this has all of your up-to-date statistics for how many referrals you've passed and your thank you for closed business and your referrals received and your visitors and your one-to-ones. In order to get into your profile to make these changes, you can get there two ways. The first is Update Profile My BNI page at the top, or you can click on Options and go to My Account. Both of these will take you to the same place. Now, once you get there, all we need to do is to go through the various tabs, and I'm going to show you all of the different places where the information shows up. You'll notice that the different pieces of information are broken into tabs along the top. So we have our main profile tab, we have a user profile tab, we have our contacts details tab, we have our settings tab, our bio tab. If you happen to be a director consultant, you'll have a director consultant tab as well. And finally, your training history. So let's start out with the main profile tab, and this is pretty straightforward. It has your name, which you can either, depending on the permissions in your region, you may be able to edit this directly, or you might have to request a change to your name or company name. Note that the VAT reference number, VAT stands for Value Added Tax. We tend to not use that here in the United States. It's a international term that really is kind of like our sales tax here in the United States. But in some other countries, they do have to record that as part of their profile. We can just leave that blank here in the United States. It will show your industry and classification and your chapter and what your current membership status is. Once we get below there, this is where we're going to start spending a little bit more time because we do need to start building our credibility through the upcoming fields, such as the My Business and the keywords. Now, the My Business description, this is one that's going to show up on the public website. So, for example, let me go back and did you also know that if I just do a search for my name here on Google, one of the results is my chapter webpage. So the My Business field is the one that's here in the dark gray box. And this is what you're filling out here in the My Business description. The way that I view the My Business description is it's kind of like your elevator pitch. So if you were at a chapter meeting and maybe during open networking and there's a guest at your chapter meeting and you need to tell this guest, somebody that you've never met before, what you do in your business, that's kind of like what the My Business description is. Ideally, you want to keep it to just a couple of sentences because people tend to not want to read a lot when they're online. So you do want to keep this short and sweet. A couple of bullet points about what you do and a description of what your business is. The next part on here is the keywords. Now, the keywords is a very important piece because this is how people find you when they don't know your name. For example, when I did a search for massage therapists in Texas. Now, I don't really know anybody in Texas, but if I'm traveling to Texas and I'm looking for a massage therapist, or I have a niece or a nephew or an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or just a friend that is in Texas that is looking for a massage therapist, this is how I can refer business by going to these sites and doing a search for that. Now, if you want people to find you when they're doing those searches, you have to make sure that your keyword field is descriptive enough to capture all of these searches. So a lot of this is obvious things like, explanations of your services, maybe different permutations of the words. For example, you may want to put in, if you're a bookkeeper, maybe bookkeeper and bookkeeping, so that if people are searching for either of those words, they'd be able to find you. Other less obvious things that you might want to put in here would be locations. For example, as I mentioned before, I'm a member here in Rhode Island, and here in Rhode Island, we live in a very, very small state. It is only 20 miles wide by 40 miles long. That means that a lot of us here in Rhode Island do business over the borders, and the next two bordering states are Connecticut and Massachusetts. So a lot of us will have clients in Massachusetts or Connecticut, and we might even be looking for clients in Massachusetts and Connecticut. So here's where you might want to put in, for example, I put in the state abbreviations for Massachusetts and Connecticut. And that could be true if you live on the border of a state, for example, because it's going to search by where your address is, but this will help it find for where you're actually looking for business. It works in very large states as well. For example, Texas or California. Maybe you live in Los Angeles, but you'd also like to be found in searches for San Diego. Well, you can add San Diego into your keywords and be able to be found in those searches as well. All right, so that's the main profile tab. And again, this affects both the inside profile and your public profiles. Now, the second tab is your user profile tab, and here's where you can go in, and if you need to, you can change your username. You can make your username pretty much anything you want to, as long as it is unique in BNI. The second thing, you can also change your password as well, and again, you can make your password anything that you'd like it to be. The memorable question and answer are if you forget your username or password in BNI Connect. So let me show you what that looks like real quick. If you forget your username and password, you can always click on the home screen or on the login screen, the forgot password or username. All you need to do is to put in your email address that is registered in the system and your CAPTCHA code here. It will find you, and then it will ask you your question. Now, once it asks you your question and you give the correct answer, then you can change your password to something new. Here's where you can also choose your language. Note that BNI Connect is translated into about 45 or so different languages, including about a dozen different versions of English. You also choose your time zone. And you can upload a profile image and company logo. For example, if I'd like to change my company logo here, I can click on Change Company Logo. It will bring me over to another screen where I can add a different image. I just need to browse my computer, find the image that I would like here. I can crop it if I'd like to, otherwise I can just hit Save. And now that new image will be part of my profile. If you make any changes on the individual pages, do make sure you hit the Update or Save button. The next tab has all of your contact information, and it has your phone number and direct number and home number, mobile number, pager, voicemail, toll-free, fax, all of those different phone numbers you can put up here onto the system. Now, before you start putting in your phone numbers, note all the way at the top, the most important thing, show me on BNI public websites. If this box is checked, you will be on all of the public websites, so bniamerica.com, for example, as well as your regional website, as well as your chapter webpage. If you uncheck this, then you will be hidden from all of those public searches. So if you would like to be found, make sure that this box has a check in it. After you've filled out the rest of your information, you can choose which is shown on the public websites. Things with a check mark will be shown, and things without a check mark will not be. You can also put in all of your social media connections. And finally, your address details. You can choose which of your addresses you would like to be shown on the public website. whether it is your main address or your billing address, or if you'd like none of your addresses to show up. Now, if you'd like to show your address but you're a little bit concerned about it because you might work from home, you can choose to show, let's say, for example, your main address, but for the address line 1, you can put in by appointment only. As long as you have something in the billing address, your regional office will still be able to get in touch with you. And again, if you've made any changes, be sure to click the Update button. Now, I'm going to skip the next tab and go over to the Bio tab real quick. I'll go back to the Settings tab in a moment. The Bio tab is really, it's all about you. So this is really the credibility building piece and also the sharing of information piece with other BNI Connect users. The bio is the same bio that your secretary-treasurer will ask you to fill out before your 10-minute presentation at your chapter. So it has your years in business, your previous types of jobs, your spouse, children, pets, hobbies and interests, city of residence, years, burning desire, something nobody knows about you, and key to success. Note that if you fill it out here, your secretary-treasurer might not need to ask you to fill it out again because they should be able to just retrieve it from here in BNI Connect. The next two things that you can put in are your commercials. Now, it's a good idea to put commercials in because one of the things about BNI Connect is that it is viewed by the other 160,000 BNI members around the world. Now, of those 160,000 members, I would say 159,750 of them will never, ever be at one of your BNI meetings. This is your opportunity to share your 60 seconds with them as if they were at one of their chapter meetings. It's also a great place to kind of store an emergency 60-second presentation. You know, just in case you can't make it to your meeting at the last minute, you have to get a commercial 60-second presentation over to somebody that is subbing for you at the last minute. You can just copy and paste it from your BNI Connect profile and have it all ready to go. The next is your Gains profile. Gains stands for goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills. One of the great things about the Gains profile is think back to your last Member Success Program. In Member Success Program, we are taught that we should be doing a Gains exchange before each one-to-one. That means before I do a one-to-one, before I sit down and meet with you, I should have a read over your Gains profile. Now, if you have these stored in BNI Connect, that becomes very easy to do. We can just look up each other's profiles in BNI Connect, or there's even a report that shows us all of this information for other members of our chapter. The more you can learn about somebody before you sit down and talk with them at a one-to-one, the deeper those conversations are going to be, which means the deeper the relationship is going to be. And of course, that leads to more referrals. Finally, we have the TOPS profile. The TOPS profile is your ideal referral, your top product, top problem solved, favorite BNI story, and ideal referral partner. The TOPS profile is an important one to fill out right away because the TOPS profile and the My BNI Business are the two major things, besides your contact information, that show up on the public-facing websites. So going back to my public website here, my public profile, note that the My Business description, and this is the TOPS profile down here at the bottom. The TOPS profile and the My BNI Business are the most important things to fill out right away. Note that because these are public websites, these are also being indexed by Google, which is why I showed up in a Google search for my name. If you're a director, there is a director profile where the information is all condensed into a page. And finally, the training history. Note that you can't change the training history yourself. If you find something is missing on here, please contact your director consultant or your regional office, your executive director, and they will be able to correct the training history for you if necessary. Now, I'm going to return to the tab that looks like a gear, and that is the Account Settings tab. The account settings is where you control really the inside portion of BNI Connect. So what I was showing you here before, this is your public profile. So both on the BNI America site, for example, as well as on your regional site and on your chapter page. There's an additional profile on the inside of BNI Connect. So if I was to search in BNI Connect using this magnifying glass, I could search for any other BNI member around the world in our own little private environment that is BNI Connect. I can also click on the profile down here to see what my inside profile looks like to other people. So when other people find me in BNI Connect, this is what they're going to see. They'll see all my roles that I have here in BNI. They'll see my name and my industry and my business description. They can read my keywords and my company and all my different phone numbers. On the inside of BNI Connect, my email address is shown if I choose to. It also shows all of my various social networking links. But in addition to this information, on the inside of BNI Connect to our other members, we can also show them parts of our bio, such as the 60-second presentation, the gains, and the tops profile. We can view each other's connections. We can view each other's testimonials. There's a photo sharing gallery as well. We can see what groups we're participating in. And finally, the training history as well. Now, to control what other members see as part of this profile here within BNI Connect, on that gear tab, we can control what other people see. Which of those tabs are available? So do I want to show my bio tab to everyone, to just my connections, or to nobody? The same thing for my connections. Do I want to share that with everybody, just my connections, or nobody? Same thing for testimonials, picture gallery, your email address, and your contact details. Now, the bottom portion of this page all has to do with notifications. So you can choose whether or not, if you're participating in the groups, how often you'll get notified when there's activity in those groups. And at the bottom, you can choose which of your BNI Connect social media interactions you get emails from. So for example, if you receive an internal message or if you receive a connection request, if you'd like that to be forwarded to your regular email address as well. And that, in a nutshell, is the BNI Connect profiles. Again, that show both your public profile, this is your inside profile, and your public profile. What I'd like to do now is to open this up to any questions. What questions do you guys have about filling out your profile in BNI Connect or about anything else in BNI Connect? I would love to answer those questions for you now. While you're thinking of any questions, just a reminder, this is being recorded. It will be made available on the BNI support site. So click the question mark here in BNI Connect, and that will take you over to the support site. You'll see it under Chapter Training and Documentation in Recorded Webinars. You'll also find it up on YouTube, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. You'll find it up in, I'll be making a section called January 2015 Recordings. I would also love it if you gave us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. And finally, a great referral for me is if you found today's webinar helpful, if you could please let other members know about these webinars. Our very next webinar is coming up in just a couple of days. We're going to be talking about giving and tracking referrals online through BNI Connect. That's going to be on Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. A great referral for me is to please let somebody know about that webinar and help them to register. Tyler says, is there a website for a quick guide to the script similar to what you use to make your profile stand out more? Tyler, that's largely just traditional HTML markup. There is a couple of fields within BNI Connect that allow you to apply HTML markup to what's displaying there, and the My Business is one of those. So for example, this is just basically standard HTML code. Now, what I did in this particular case, and you can do this any number of ways, but I happen to have an HTML editor on my computer, and all I did was basically type that out and get the source code for that. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to copy and paste that real quick. So I happen to use a program called Page Breeze, which is a very light HTML editor. I started a new document here and typed the information out. Keep in mind you can bold and underline, and these are hyperlinks, obviously. So if I wanted to maybe do a bold of Connecticut and a bold of Massachusetts, most of this is just like editing a Word document here. And then you can take the HTML source code here, and I can just copy and paste this, right into the, let me see, copy, and then I just pasted that right into the My Business. Now there's some online websites where you can do the exact same thing for free without installing a program on your computer. Does that help, Tyler? One advanced thing also is that if you really wanted to, you could actually put a video in here to have a video introduction. The trick with that is that you do need to host it on a video sharing website. For example, something like YouTube. Now, I have a ton of YouTube videos out there. If I had recorded one for myself, let's just say I wanted to use, I'm just going to use one of these videos as a test, but this invite a visitor. Let's say I wanted to use this video as my introduction video in my business description. You go to the video after you've uploaded it and choose Share, Embed. Now you can take this embed code and put this right into your profile as well. Not sure if I'm going to run out of characters here. But now, with a refresh, I now have a video embedded in my profile. So you could take a video recording of maybe even doing a 60-second presentation at your chapter meeting, or your My Business or something like that. You do want to make sure, like I just pasted this in here at the full size, so you do want to probably tweak that a little bit and make it a little bit smaller. So I might want this to be about half the size, maybe 280 by 160 or something like that. And that way it won't be falling off the page. I should be able to refresh my page up here as well. And you'll notice that those changes do take place right away. There's no waiting or anything else for those to happen. So did that help, Tyler? That help a little bit more? All right. Do we have any additional questions? Any questions at all about BNI Connect? I'd love to answer those questions. All right. Well, thank you guys all so much for being here today. I hope everybody had a very happy new year, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing some of you on future webinars as well. Just a reminder, our next one is on Monday about using the online slips in BNI Connect. Thanks again, everyone, and happy connecting.